Imagine this, you're standing at the edge of the Red Sea. Behind you is an army determined to destroy you. In front of you is a vast, impossible obstacle. What do? Do you freeze in fear? Or do you trust God to make a way? That's what dreaming bigger is about, trusting that the impossible isn't impossible when God is in the equation. Today, I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to challenge you to step into life God has planned for you. If you've ever felt like you were made for something more, like you were called for a higher purpose, you need to stay with me until the very end. Because what I'm about to share could be the key to unlocking the life God promised you. 1. Faith-based foundation, trusting God's vision. In Jeremiah 29:11, God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Your dreams are not random, they are divine downloads from heaven. When you dream bigger, you're stepping into alignment with God's vision for your life. 2. Vision beyond the horizon. Stop limiting your dreams to what you can see. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 3:20 that God is able to do exceedingly, abundantly above all that we ask or think. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. God isn't calling you to be comfortable, He's calling you to be courageous. Hey, the power of purpose. Your dream isn't just about you. It's about the lives you will impact when you fulfill your calling. Look at Esther, she didn't just dream of becoming a queen, she dreamed of saving her people. Dream bigger, because your dream is tied to a purpose far greater than yourself. 4. Fear vs. faith. Fear is the enemy of big dreams, but God didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. When fear whispers, "What if you fail?" faith shouts back, "What if God shows up?" 5. Hard work and commitment. Faith without action is dead. You can't just sit and wait for God to drop your dreams in your lap. Noah didn't wait for the rain to start before he built the ark. He worked, he toiled, and he trusted. If you want it, you've got to work for it. 6. Resilience and persistence. Dreaming bigger means being ready for setbacks. Look at Joseph. He went from the pit to the prison to the palace. Every detour was part of God's divine plan. Don't quit because it's hard. Press on because God is faithful. 7. Surround yourself with believers. You can't achieve a God-sized dream surrounded by small-minded people. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Surround yourself with people who will sharpen your faith and push you to dream bigger. 8. God's timing, patience in the process. Dreaming bigger doesn't mean it will happen overnight. God's timing is perfect, even when it feels slow. Habakkuk 2:3 reminds us, "Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." 9. Call to action, take the leap of faith. Now it's time to act. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now. Take one step toward your dream and watch how God multiplies your efforts. The eternal promise. When you dream bigger, you're not just chasing goals, you're living out God's plan for your life. And here's the best part: when God fulfills a dream, it's not just for this life, it's for eternity. So dream bigger, work harder, and trust deeper, because your destiny is greater than you can imagine. Are you ready to step into that destiny? Then let's go. Let's dream bigger together. Amen. In Jeremiah 29:11, we're reminded of something profound. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Think about that for a moment. The creator of the universe, the one who spoke the stars into existence, has a plan specifically for you. He didn't create you by accident. He didn't just place you here to survive. He placed you here to thrive and to fulfill a divine purpose. Every dream that stirs in your heart isn't just a coincidence, it's a whisper from heaven. It's God planting seeds of greatness in your soul. But here's the challenge: too many of us settle for less because we doubt that we're worthy of more. We get so caught up in the struggles of today that we forget the promises of tomorrow. God is saying, stop thinking small. Stop limiting what I can do through you. My plans are greater than your fears, greater than your doubts, greater than your circumstances. The enemy wants you to believe that dreaming big is selfish or impossible. But God wants you to understand that your dreams are part of His divine plan. He wants to prosper you not just financially, but spiritually, emotionally, and relationally. When you dream in alignment with God's purpose, you're not just imagining possibilities, you're stepping into a calling that has been prepared for you since the foundation of the world. The question is, will you trust Him? Will you dare to believe that the dream in your heart is just the beginning of something miraculous? God isn't asking you to figure it all out. He's asking you to take that first step, to trust that His plans for you are good, and to dream bigger because He is a God of abundance, not limits. Stop for a moment and think about the biggest dream you've ever had. Now double it, triple it, stretch it so far that it seems impossible. That's the kind of dream God has for you, one that exceeds what you can see or imagine. In Ephesians 3:20, we're told that God is able to do exceedingly, abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. But here's the thing, too often, we limit our dreams to what we think is possible based on our current circumstances. We look at our bank account, our education, our connections, and we let those things define what we believe is achievable. God is calling you to lift your eyes beyond what you can see. He's calling you to trust in His unlimited power and provision. When David stood before Goliath, everyone else saw an invincible giant. But David saw something bigger. He saw God's victory. He didn't let the size of the obstacle intimidate him because his faith was rooted in the size of his God. That's the kind of vision we need to have when we dream. Stop looking at your limitations and start looking at God's promises. When you dream beyond what you think is possible, you create space for God to show up in ways you never imagined. You're not dreaming alone. He's walking with you, preparing the way and equipping you for the journey. So don't settle for a vision that fits inside the box of your understanding. Dream bigger. Dream the kind of dreams that require faith, courage, and God's intervention to bring them to life. Because with God, nothing is impossible. Your dreams are not just about you. They're about the lives you're destined to touch, the people you're meant to inspire, and the change you're called to create. When God plants a dream in your heart, it's part of His greater purpose, and fulfilling it means stepping into a role that impacts the world around you. Think about Esther. She didn't just dream of becoming a queen for the sake of luxury or status. God positioned her in the palace for such a time as this Esther 4:14. Her dream wasn't just about her, it was about saving an entire nation. She understood that her role came with responsibility, and she stepped into it with boldness and faith. The same is true for you. Your dreams are designed to serve a greater purpose. They are connected to a divine assignment that only you can fulfill. Maybe your dream is to start a business, but that business isn't just about financial success. It's about creating opportunities for others and glorifying God through your work. Maybe your dream is to write a book, but that book will inspire someone who's struggling to find hope. The world needs you to dream bigger because your dream is a solution to someone else's problem. It's a light in someone's darkness. It's a bridge to someone's breakthrough. God doesn't give you dreams for your own glory. He gives them to you so His glory can shine through you. So ask yourself, who will be impacted when I pursue my dream? Whose life will change when I step into my purpose? When you dream with purpose, you're not just chasing a goal, you're answering God's call to make a difference in the world. Don't hold back. Dream bigger because your purpose is bigger than you think. Fear is one of the greatest barriers to dreaming bigger. It whispers lies like, you're not good enough. What if you fail? Or what will people think? But here's the truth. God didn't create you to live in fear. In 2 Timothy 1:7, we're reminded, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Fear paralyzes, faith propels. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, he wasn't relying on his ability, he was relying on Jesus. For a moment, he did the impossible. But as soon as he let fear take over, he started to sink. That's how fear works. It takes your eyes off God's power and focuses them on the waves, the winds, and the obstacles in front of you. But here's the good news. Faith is greater than fear. Faith says, even if I don't see the whole picture, I trust that God is in control. Faith reminds you that the same God who parted the Red Sea, who brought down the walls of Jericho, and who raised Jesus from the dead is the one who's calling you to dream bigger. Dreaming big requires courage, not because you'll never face challenges, but because you know who is with you. When fear says, what if you fail? Faith responds, what if God shows up? When fear says, you're not enough? Faith declares, God's strength is made perfect in my weakness. Fear will always try to keep you small, but God's promises are greater than any fear you face. Step out of the boat, keep your eyes on Him, and remember, when you walk in faith, the impossible becomes possible. Dreaming bigger doesn't stop with belief, it requires action. The Bible reminds us in James 2:26, faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith in the world, but if you're not willing to put in the effort, those dreams will remain just that, dreams. Think about Noah. God gave him a vision of a great flood and instructed him to build an ark. It wasn't easy. It took years of hard work, ridicule from others, and unwavering commitment to what God had called him to do. But Noah didn't just sit back and wait for the rain. He picked up his tools, rolled up his sleeves, and got to work. His faith was alive because it was matched with action. The same principle applies to your dreams. You might have the most extraordinary vision, but if you're not willing to grind, to sacrifice, and to stay committed even when it gets tough, you won't see it come to fruition. God will give you the vision, but He expects you to do your part. Dreaming big doesn't mean it will be easy. There will be long night setbacks and moments when giving up feels tempting. But every step you take, every bit of effort you invest is a declaration of your faith in what God has promised. It's saying, God, I trust you enough to do my part, knowing you will do yours. Work with excellence, not just because it's necessary, but because it honors God. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. When you put in the effort, when you stay consistent, and when you persevere, you're partnering with God to turn your dreams into reality. Keep pushing forward, because the harvest will come to those who don't give up. Dreaming bigger means preparing yourself for challenges and setbacks, because they will come. The question isn't if you'll face obstacles, it's how you'll respond when they arise. True dreamers, the ones who align their vision with God's purpose, understand that resilience is the key to turning dreams into reality. Take Joseph as an example. God gave him a dream of greatness, but the journey to that dream was anything but smooth. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Most people would have given up thinking, maybe I heard God wrong. Maybe this isn't meant to be, but Joseph didn't quit. He stayed faithful, trusting that God's promise would come to pass, even when his circumstances said otherwise. That's what resilience looks like. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending hardships don't exist. It's about holding on to God's promise in the middle of the storm. Romans 8:28 assures us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Even when things don't make sense, God is working behind the scenes, shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for the fulfillment of your dream. Resilience also means refusing to let failure define you. Failure isn't the end, it's a stepping stone. The Bible is filled with people who face setbacks but refuse to give up. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, but he became the rock on which the church was built. Paul was in prison, shipwrecked, and persecuted, but he wrote much of the New Testament. Setbacks don't disqualify you, they prepare you. So when you face challenges, don't let them stop you. Lean into God's strength, knowing that His power is made perfect in your weakness, 2 Corinthians 12:9. Keep moving forward, trusting that every trial is bringing you closer to the dream He's placed in your heart. Resilience isn't just about enduring, it's about thriving in faith, knowing that the God who gave you the dream is faithful to bring it to pass. When you set out to dream bigger, it's essential to surround yourself with the right people. The journey toward your dream is not one you're meant to walk alone. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Who you spend time with can either fuel your dreams or dampen them. If you're going to dream big, you need to be around people who encourage you, who challenge you, and who will help you grow. Look at the story of David and Jonathan. Despite the challenges they faced, Jonathan was a friend who believed in David's calling. Jonathan was willing to lay aside his own future to see David fulfill his purpose. They didn't compete, they complemented each other. The relationship they shared was rooted in mutual support and encouragement. David's dream was to become king, but it wasn't an easy road. Jonathan didn't just stand by passively, he actively helped David when he was under threat and when others tried to undermine him. You need that kind of support system in your life, people who see the potential in you when you can't see it in yourself. People who will pray with you, speak life over you, and hold you accountable when you feel weak or discouraged. In the same way, you must be willing to be that kind of support for others. Iron sharpens iron. You can't sharpen yourself without others in the process. Sometimes, though, this may mean removing negative or toxic influences from your life. Not everyone who's in your life is meant to stay there. Jesus himself had a small inner circle, Peter, James, and John, whom he trusted most closely with his mission. Even in ministry, Jesus knew that the right people would be essential for his success. So as you dream bigger, consider your circle. Are the people around you pushing you toward God's best for your life? Are they encouraging you to aim higher, or are they pulling you back into comfort and doubt? Surround yourself with dreamers who are as passionate about God's plans for their lives as you are for yours. Let them inspire you to go further and let you inspire them in return. Remember, you're not meant to do this alone. God uses people to build each other up, and in your pursuit of your dreams, the right people can help you grow, keep you grounded, and spur you on when the journey feels long. Dream bigger, and surround yourself with those who believe that your dreams are possible with God's help. When you're dreaming bigger, one of the most important aspects to remember is that God's timing is perfect even when it feels slow. Often we find ourselves impatient, wondering why our dreams haven't come to fruition yet, or why the journey seems longer than we anticipated. But the Bible reminds us time and time again that God's timing is far greater than our own. In Habakkuk 2:3, God says, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time, it speaks of the end, and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it, it will certainly come and will not delay." This is a clear reminder that just because things aren't happening on our timeline doesn't mean they won't happen. God's plan isn't delayed, it's in motion, even when we can't see it. Joseph's story is a powerful example of this. He had dreams of ruling over his family, but those dreams didn't come true immediately. In fact, Joseph's journey to his destiny was filled with trials. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, wrongfully imprisoned, and forgotten. Years passed, and from a human perspective, it may have seemed like God had forgotten his promise to Joseph. But during all that time, God was preparing Joseph for the moment he would rise to power. When the time was right, he was elevated to a position of authority in Egypt and able to save not just his family, but a nation. What does this tell us? It tells us that God is always at work behind the scenes, orchestrating events, building our character, and shaping our hearts to handle the blessings he's preparing for us. It's not about the length of the wait, but about trusting that God's timing is never off. His plan is perfect, even when it looks different from our own timeline. Don't rush the process. Instead, trust that God's timing is intentional. Every season of waiting is not wasted. It's a time of preparation. It's a time for you to grow in character, to become the person who can handle the dreams that God is about to release into your life. Your dreams are coming, but they will come at the winter time in God's perfect timing. So be patient, trust in the process, and know that what God has promised you, he will deliver in his time. Remember, just because things seem delayed doesn't mean they're denied. Trust the timing of God and keep moving forward in faith, because when the time is right, the doors will open and your dreams will unfold exactly as he intended. Now that we've talked about dreaming bigger, overcoming fear, working hard, and trusting in God's perfect timing, the most crucial question remains, are you ready to take action? Because dreaming bigger means stepping out in faith and moving forward, no matter how uncertain the path might seem. It's easy to be inspired by the idea of a dream, but it's the people who take that first step and then continue taking steps who actually turn those dreams into reality. In Philippians 3:13-14, Paul says, "Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." Paul knew that reaching his goal required effort. He had to forget what was behind him, his past mistakes, his regrets, and even his previous successes, and press forward toward the greater things God had for him. He had to take action. Dreaming big is not just about envisioning a future, it's about moving toward that future with purpose and determination. It's about making decisions every day that align with your dream. It means not waiting for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment might never come. It means stepping out in faith, even when the path is unclear. As the Bible says in Psalm 119:105, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." God doesn't always show us the whole road, but he lights the way one step at a time. You might be thinking, I don't know if I'm ready, but let me tell you this, you don't have to have it all figured out to start. God has already equipped you with everything you need for the journey. Trust that when you take the first step, he will guide your path. Every action you take toward your dream is an act of faith. And it's in those actions that God shows up. He will provide the wisdom, the strength, and the resources you need when you move forward. So, let today be the day you stop waiting. Stop procrastinating. Stop second-guessing yourself. Trust that God is with you every step of the way. Take that leap of faith and watch how he opens doors, makes ways where there seem to be none, and turns your dreams into a reality. This is your moment to act. It's time to dream bigger and move boldly toward the future God has for you. Are you ready? Let's go and let's pursue those dreams with everything we've got. As we come to the final point, I want to remind you of something incredibly important. Your dreams are bigger than just you. You were created for something greater than you can even imagine. God has placed within you a calling, a destiny, and a purpose that, when fulfilled, will leave a lasting impact on the world around you. In Matthew 5:14-16, Jesus says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your dream is not just for your benefit, it's for others. It's a light that God has placed inside of you, meant to shine brightly and lead others to the truth, hope, and love of Jesus Christ. When you pursue your dreams in alignment with God's purpose, you inspire others to dream bigger, to overcome their own fears, and to walk in faith. Your victory becomes a testimony to someone else's breakthrough. Your success becomes a story that someone else can look to and say, if God can do it for them, he can do it for me. In Hebrews 12:1, we're reminded that we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. People have gone before us and people will follow after us. Your dreams are part of something larger than your personal success. They are part of God's kingdom. When you live out your purpose, you are fulfilling God's plan, not just for your own life, but for generations to come. You're setting an example, you're making a difference, and you're living a life that points people back to him. So, dream bigger, not just for yourself, but for the impact you can have on those around you. Dream bigger because the world needs the light you carry. Dream bigger because your legacy is not measured by what you achieve alone, but by the lives you touch, the people you lift up, and the way you make God's love visible to those around you. As you move forward, keep this in mind. You are a vessel of God's greatness. Your dreams are not limited by your circumstances. You have been called to something much greater. So with faith, courage, and boldness, step into your purpose and let the world see the glory of God through the dreams he has planted in you. Dream bigger, because the world needs you to.